This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. Healthcare professionals can lead their careers with LinkedIn. Discover jobs by specialty, preferred shifts, and even desired salary. From mental health therapists to radiology technicians, it's now faster and easier for healthcare professionals to find the right fit. Learn more at linkedin.com/healthcare. Side effects may include faster job placement, improved work-life balance, and increased career satisfaction.
If we knew more about our sleep, what would we do differently? Would we go to bed at a consistent time or take steps to reduce interruptions to our sleep? With the all-new Sleep Score, Apple Watch measures your bedtime consistency, interruptions, and sleep duration. Then, every morning it combines these factors into an easy-to-understand score from 1 to 100. So you'll know how to take the quality of your sleep from good to excellent. Introducing the new Sleep Score on Apple Watch. iPhone 11 or later required.
Buckeye Talk is about to begin. Hey, 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 come on in.
Welcome back to Buckeye Talk. I am Stephen Means, joined by our columnist Jimmy Watkins, who is up in Ann Arbor. He just finished talking with Sharon Moore and a bunch of different players. You guys know what's happening on Saturday. I don't need to. You know why he went up to Michigan in the end of November. There, Ohio State, Michigan on Saturday with a lot on the line. Ohio State's got a chance to get to the Big Ten championship game for the first time in 2020. Their playoff standings don't matter much. It's really, if they lose this game, they probably just don't get a bye. But they cracked it. They clinched a berth in the playoff weeks ago, so that's not really necessarily on the line. But there are things on the line for Michigan, which I do think is an interesting place, Jimmy, for Sharon to be in, because his last two times being the head coach in this game, once as an interim in 23 and as the official head coach in 24, he's kind of been playing with house money where nobody expected him to win last year and he pulled it off. And I think it probably earned him a level of grace with the fan base that I'm not going to say didn't exist, but wasn't like a thing. And it kind of earned him some grace when things didn't go necessarily as well this year as well. While in 2023, you're just the guy filling in for Jim Harbaugh, right? And so Michigan's got a chance to get to the Big Ten championship if they win this game. And they're in. If they beat Ohio State, who's been the number one team in every single college football playoff ranking all month, they're in the college football playoff. So there's like pressure on Sharon Moore. And I don't know, you were there. Were people like asking those types of questions? What was the vibe around Sharon and these players, understanding that this time around the game isn't just let's play spoiler to our rivals. It's we have things we want to accomplish too.
Concept of having something to lose for Michigan in this is interesting. In 2023, I pushed back a little, like the reputation was kind of at stake there. And, the loser of that game didn't end up making, but now Ohio State, that was a different situation for them. But
right.
I would say this is the first time where it's Sharon Moore has ownership of what's at stake, right? Like he was kind of just holding on to the baton for Jim Harbaugh in 2023. And Jim Harbaugh had built this super COVID era roster. We kind of only retroactively realized was a super COVID era roster that ended up in a 15-0 juggernaut on its way to a national championship. So this is the first time that Sharon steps into that focus. We have a lot of evidence of what happens when Ryan Day has a lot, too much, some would argue, to lose in this game. He has fumbled it. He has fumbled it in some pretty dramatic fashion. Sharon Moore's still kind of an open question. Like Michigan there's a separation between what Michigan is to Ohio State and what Sharon Moore is to Ohio State. That win last year, it hangs forever, and it completely, I think it changed the fan base's outlook on him completely after a tough game or after a tough season last year. It was a kind of a grace period last year, understanding that they're rebuilding from the aforementioned championship roster, and now it's like, show me what you got. You got some recruiting juice behind you, you got some money behind you, you got your hand-picked 5-star freshman quarterback. That development is all on you now. The continuation of this identity for Michigan football as the imposer of its will, the imposer of its style of play. That's all on you now. Like this feels like the first time that there's something of an open chapter that Sharon Moore's got the pen for, and I think that's a little bit different. And I think this is a really small thing, but this idea that we all obviously at this point believe, maybe I shouldn't lump everyone together, but a lot of us believe that Michigan has a psychological edge over Ohio State. It manifests itself as physicality, but the physicality intertwines with the psychology, because Ohio State, this is a styles make fights rivalry, and Ohio State's style is perimeter talent and the pass game. Michigan's style is between the tackles, and it somehow year after year ends up dragging Ohio State between the tackles in this game. But when Michigan got asked about that, and I think so, it was Sharon Moore, Giovanni El-Hadi, and Marlon Klein. All three of them were asked about it at least twice, 2 different ways, 3 different ways, whether it's directly, do you have a psychological edge over Ohio State? Or what is the value when they would shoo that one away? What is the value of the 4-game winning streak in this? Marlon Klein is his first year with a big role, but like Joe Hadi, both of them are seniors. There's institutional knowledge there, and they all sort of batted it away. Whereas it feels like, I didn't have enough time to come through all the old Michigan coaches. It feels like Jim Harbaugh era Michigan was leaning in a little bit more to that villain role. Like, am I misremembering that, or was that has that changed a little bit?
No, for sure. Here's the quote from Sharon Moore, because I did listen back to some of this when he got asked about the fact that in the way the first question was presented, I don't even think I had realized that Ohio State has been number 1 or number 2 in the rankings for like 4 of the last 5 years that this game has been played, which is like, yeah, like it's another way of presenting like, hey, this is how good these Ohio State teams were that you guys are beating. You weren't just beating scrub teams.
They're playing down. In other words, Michigan is making Ohio State play down.
Right. We're just going to prepare for the game outside the building. None of that really matters. What people think, what people say doesn't matter. What matters is how we prepare, how we get ready for this game mentally, and that's it. I don't know what the mental edge piece is. I just know we're going to prepare to win the game. Yeah, there's an element of like coach speak to Sharon Moore, and you can hear that message coming down to us. Day has it too. He doesn't coach speak it, but the interesting thing with Day is we get Day on Tuesdays and then we get the players on Wednesdays. And we actually talk to Day before he even talks to his team for the week, because we get him at noon. The players get in there about 2:30. They have their meeting and then they start with things. And so a lot of times you will hear Day talk a certain way on Tuesday about things. He'll say, listen, the sky is blue. And then on Wednesday night, Sonny Styles or Jeremiah Smith or any other players, like, the sky is blue. And like, oh. So he's telling you the exact same thing he's telling us. He's not coach speaking this. He's just using the same language. I see a similar thing with how Sharon is handling this, where it's like 1 + 1 = 2. And then Giovanni El-Hadid goes up there. 1 + 1 = 2. Even with Bryce Underwood, look how cocky he was before he got into that program. And now it's like 1 + 1 = 2. And that to me just means that the way that Sharon Moore wants to run his program is being instilled and actually being practiced throughout the building. But to the point you're talking about, how even when Jim Harbaugh was losing, in 2019, he got asked, I mean, you're still losing and Urban Meyer is gone. Is it scheme? Is it coaching? Is it player? And as soon as somebody said coaching, he's like, what? Coaching? Huh? Are you crazy? Coaching? Like, even then you could see where his level of respect for Ryan Day was. And he just lost 56-27. And then obviously we know what happened in 2020. But then the turnaround 2 years later, when you finally win the game and you're going, some people think they hit a triple when they were like born on, when instead they were just born on third base, right? To go from that to that energy was always there for Jim Harbaugh, played out in his players the way Aiden Hutchinson talked after that game. The fact that people were planting flags, that started during the Harbaugh era. And Sharon Moore almost pushed back on the flag planting. That's not how we want to do things here. We want to be respectful and respect the rivalry. And I am going to psychoanalyze that, because that's what we do here, right? We psychoanalyze everything. Jim Harbaugh did what he had to do because he was losing the rivalry and he was trying to shift the mindset. I don't think Sharon has to shift the mindset. He has to maintain that mindset. And I think there is pressure in having to maintain something that you did not build. And I think that is the pressure Ryan Day was under when that same presser in 2019, he acknowledged that, listen, I am coming in here following one of the greatest college coaches of all time who went 7-0. He said that, who went 7-0 in this rivalry. You feel that. And you try your best to not lean into it, but you feel it. And Ryan Day called that 2019 win a relief. And I am wondering if Sharon Moore, deep down, felt the same way about 2024, especially when you add in the fact that we are not supposed to win this game. We're not even supposed to compete. I'm supposed to start my tenure with a 21-point loss to Ohio State. And I won it. Whew! That's relief, but with relief comes pressure. And I'm wondering, I don't know who has more pressure to win this game on Saturday. I think the easy answer is to say the guy who's lost it 4 years in a row. But I don't know, is there more pressure on the guy who took over someone who was winning the rivalry at the time that he left and already has a win and now has to maintain that?
I think the material consequences have dwindled.
Equalized.
Ryan Day.
I think they've equalized.
Yeah, the playing field is certainly more level. Like when you're saying like Sharon Moore has to maintain this mindset, that is part of the calculus here. I also think he sees what's going on the other side. Like he watched the way Ohio State responded to the loss last year, and he saw them like that could, we'll see on Saturday, but that could represent a catharsis, a processing of an emotional hump. Right, that's kind of how we all perceived it in the moment last year. We still don't really know because it's two different things. It's a different thing to let the embarrassment of that loss fuel you and to correct the mistakes that led to it. I have a hunch that Ohio State will approach this game differently and in a better way. But you can't fool me 4 times. I just gotta see it, right? I just gotta see it. So that's the other thing. This whole we're being very polite and respectful energy from Michigan right now, which again, I think is a noticeable difference. I wonder if that's like an acknowledgement of there being a bear to poke. Like we don't want to poke the bear because they see, again, not just the way that last year finished, but like this Ohio State team, man, this is the most complete team I think that they've had in the Ryan Day era. We haven't really even seen third, fourth gear from this team.
They're sleepwalking through games and winning them by 40.
That's what I'm saying. And we can have a conversation about like, is that a good thing when in a world where you accept the reality that you will have to eventually access that gear, whether it's against Michigan or not, I don't know. Or this idea of like, okay, they've become a more balanced team and they're averaging this second fewest pass attempts per game since Ryan got here, second or third. Last year, they just now, since they started ratcheting up Julian, they're ahead of where Will Howard was last year. But like until recently, it was like year one Justin Fields, and that was it. Like there was a market identity change. And again, I think that's a good thing for the holistic Ohio State outlook. I don't know if that's the best thing against Michigan because we all acknowledge that the best thing you could do against Michigan is make Michigan feel like it's playing a game that is moving too fast for Michigan. The whole, like you said this in I think it was a video on Saturday, Stephen. This game is about who can impose their identity on it. Neither of these teams are, I think they're both actually, and it's fascinating to watch it happen in the mirror. They are both slowly but surely maturing the other phase of their game. Like Michigan's got a 5-star quarterback now. Michigan's got an Andrew Marshall, an outstanding freshman receiver that has broken all of its, by the way, very sad freshman receiving records that were held by, I think, Mario Manningham. But dude, like he's got like 600 yards, and he's like the best freshman they've ever had. I know it's Ohio State. I watch a lot of Ohio State football, so that's a good month for Jeremiah.
Yeah, I don't put Ohio State receiver standards on the rest of the country. It's just not what I'm doing.
Fair, but they're both trying to do this thing on the side here. We know we need to do this to win the national title. But this thing is what wins us this rivalry. And it's hard for me to, I don't know how to evaluate who's going to do that better, except by look at the past. And we were all kind of agreeing here. I'm not sure how applicable the past is to the present right now, right? Like you would think Michigan made Ohio State run the ball. Michigan's better now in some respect. I don't think the defense is as good, but I think they have upgraded the talent in certain areas. So why wouldn't they Why would they now not be able to do that?
Justice Haynes isn't playing in this game. So that's already it's
Jordan
interesting
Marshall
that
is,
both
though.
of these, right. The thing I'm saying is both of these teams, if you had to say who is the engine of both of these teams' offenses, you would say Jordan Marshall and Justice Haynes on Michigan's side, and you'd say Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith on Ohio State's side. We know for a fact that Justice Haynes is not playing. Sharon Moore last week, he didn't want to rule out Justice Haynes for the rest of the season, meaning like if Michigan wins this game and they get the playoff, can they get him back in late December? I guess he wants to keep that open. Jordan Marshall, who did not play against Maryland, there is an expectation he will be playing against Ohio State, though, as the way you're talking about it. Okay.
Yeah, he said on Saturday that Jordan dressed on Saturday. Like he could have gone Saturday, and he's going to be good Saturday.
Okay, so they load managed Jordan Marshall. I know all about that because I cover Ohio State. Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate did not dress against Rutgers. They didn't need them to beat Rutgers, which is how they didn't do it. I will say that I am quite confident Jeremiah Smith will be playing football on Saturday. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but JJ hates Michigan. It's also his birthday on Saturday, and so I don't think anybody's telling him no to play on Saturday. Carnell is a little bit more tricky. I don't know if it's 50-50. I don't know. I think it's soft tissue injuries are always tricky, right? You never really, you'll wake up one day and everything feels fine, and then you wake up the next day and things are a little bit more trickier than that. And I think with soft tissue injuries, you're always wondering, hey, can you make it worse by playing, right? So I guess we'll see with that one. Let's see if Carnell can get through the week and go through the week of practice. But still, it's just interesting that both of these teams, if you had to say like who are the four most valuable people, I think you would say those four. One's definitely not playing, and there's another one where you're not really all the way sure if he's going to be playing or not. So which I want to talk about some of the stuff we're going to talk about on our live show later this week.
Oh, Hilton stay, your beds are soft and cozy. No lumpy couch, no stiff futon, no shower line at crack of dawn. Oh, Hilton stay.
When you want holiday comfort you can count on, it matters where you stay. Enjoy comfortable rooms and friendly service when you stay with Hilton instead. Save up to 25% this season when you book with Hilton. Hilton for the stay. Terms apply.
With new, gentler scented Clorox disinfecting wipes, clean finally smells as good as it feels. On everything from lamps to ceiling fans. Even on your kid's toy shark. Oh, ouch. Clorox disinfecting wipes. Now available in crisp lemon. Find it on Amazon. Clorox. Clean feels good.
Andrew Marsh is now an interesting wrinkle, I think, right? Because since the Wisconsin game, that kind of came out of nowhere, and now he's like their number one weapon, as you said. They haven't had an 800-yard receiver since 2022, I believe, and they haven't had a 900-yard receiver since 2013. So that's what you're talking about when you say Andrew Marsh is doing things as a wide receiver at Michigan that a wide receiver at Michigan has not done in a long time. And Nico Collins played wide receiver there. Right? Donovan Peoples-Jones was the number one receiver in his recruiting class. He played there. And they didn't do what this kid is on pace to do this year, especially if they somehow pull this game off and get into the college football playoff. Does that change the math on how you think Michigan can approach this game if they need to do that? Or have we not seen enough from Bryce Underwood to feel confident that I don't know, he's got 9 touchdowns this year. Is he all of a sudden going to turn into, that's why he was a 5-star recruit on Saturday? Have they been just trolling us this whole time with how they've been playing? Is there enough there in the passing game to make this interesting for Michigan's offense?
I feel like I'm always stumbling between football and psychology when we have a conversation about this. Football tells me no. Football tells me that Ohio State's secondary is too tough. Andrew Marsh might be able to make some plays, but let's be real, man. That's the best secondary in the country. And this Ohio State front seven is in a different place than it has been over the last few years of this rivalry. Jimmy's and Joe's have changed here. The Michigan offensive line has changed here. It's younger. The quarterback is younger. The guys pulling the strings have changed. Matt Patricia's drawn up nightmares for a kid who's played, who reclassified to play in this, and he's had 11 college games, and then you can see some progress. They had one of their best offensive performances of the season against Maryland, but still, There's a way you can spin that and say that's what they're doing. They're saying we're peaking at the right time. We feel like Bryce is seeing it in a different way. It's slowing down for him. That could all be true. It's also true that Matt Patricia knows how to speed that stuff up. That's the football. The psychology is what happens to the plan if Michigan goes on like a 7-minute drive to start the game and goes up 7-0. What happens then? What happens if you have to? I think it's still a fair question, because then now we're talking about like you can overreact. You can overreact if they start running the ball really well on that first drive. Then you start committing more resources to the box. Oops, Andrew Marsh just ran behind a corner. It's 14-0 now. What just happened?
No, it's
that's psychology.
It's why this is like stupid.
It's very stupid
because both sides don't intertwine at any level of this. There's nothing. If an alien came down from space and you taught them about football and you told them to predict the score on Saturday, they go, "Oh, this team is winning." It's not even a conversation. Like everything you just told me about football, like about just football, then like, what are we talking about? This team's not losing to this team. But there is a psychological part of this, and it's probably every question Ryan Day is going to get during his Tuesday presser. And obviously, yes, some dates on Cardinal Tate and whatnot, but I don't know if people are going to be asking X's and O's questions about outside of like what does he think of Bryce Underwood, because he's a quarterback and he's a quarterback guy. The thing I've been exploring, does the psychological advantage still exist when those players don't exist anymore? Is there an element to, and maybe this is both sides, right? Because we're talking about a bunch of young stars. Like Derek Moore is an older guy. Deshaun Branham's an older guy. Giovanni El Hadi is an older guy, right? I know Rod Moore, he said is out for the rest of the regular season. But like, Zeke Berry's an older guy, right? But this Michigan's offense is a true freshman who doesn't know any better. Jordan Marshall, who doesn't know any better, because it's not like he had a big role in this game last year. Andrew Marsh,
those guys are from Ohio or Michigan and Ohio, respectively. Like they don't know what it's like to play in it. But they understand.
I know that. But I think but what I'm saying is, I think it's a little different when you haven't played in the football game, because it's the same thing in Ohio State side, right? Like Julian Sands, sure, he was on the sideline, but he didn't play in this football game. Like on Ohio State's team, you can probably list on one hand how many people played a significant role in this game last year. It's Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, but he was wide receiver 3, not wide receiver 2. So let's do that. How many guys on Ohio State's roster right now have played in this game in the exact same role they're going to be playing in it on Saturday? Jeremiah Smith, Caleb Downs, Sonny Styles, Davis Igbinosun, Tegra Shabola. That's the list of dudes who are like, this is the exact same role I had a year ago. And I am wondering if there's a level of just sometimes not knowing any better can help you, right? Because Jack Sawyer, JT Tuimoloau, Denzel Burke, Donovan Jackson, they knew what could go wrong. So when things went wrong, you tightened up. Jake Budd, he went on Doug and Bill's, but he was talking about this, how like over years of seeing that and knowing what can go wrong, all it takes is like, oh, it's a 7-yard gain for a first down. Oh, we know how this can go wrong. Yeah, because you've experienced. Arvo Reese doesn't know any better, man. He's just like, I don't know, I go do my thing and I play football. James Peoples, Bo Jackson, they don't know any better. And I think that's both ways. And so I do think there's an element of you're kind of resetting the rivalry in terms of the characters in a way that we haven't seen in a while. Now, does that matter? Right? If Ohio State loses on Saturday, we're just going to go, it's just more of the same. Right? But I do think there's an opening for like, this is a reset of characters. So maybe a lot of the concepts that we are trying to apply from a psychological standpoint don't matter as much as they have the last couple of years when it was the same guys in the same roles.
So that I think those are all fair points. And I think that's probably where my logic brain is going, even as we pivot between football and psychology. I think even the psychology, I don't think it swings toward Ohio State right now, but there was a cleansing of bad energy last year, not just with the national championship. Obviously that helps, but like just with people leaving, who have had these bad experiences. I do think there could be a cleansing there. Yeah, but the other side of my brain is saying like programs take on the personality of their head coach. It's a top-down thing. It was never like, Ohio State wasn't losing games because, Jack Sawyer and JT Tuimoloau, people of that ilk, were under, in some cases that's true. It was the global why of why this is happening is that the team loses its identity because the coach is kind of anxious out there. Mm-hmm. Like particularly the fourth weekend in November, this has been a pretty anxious program. It's been it's not going very well. I don't like this. I'm going to get outside myself. I'm gonna try to. I know what I'll do. I'll hit them right back. We'll just keep bumping heads, and we'll try to do what they do to us. It's not how it works. I'm thinking of it like this earlier today. This hit me. I did a little notes app jot down in the car. If the Michigan was saying, and it behooves them to say this, there's more to it. This is more psychology than football. If winning the game is about playing fast, aggressive, and physical, and intensity, channeling that the right way, which of these teams plays a style that is more conducive to channeling aggression? Is it Michigan? The Michigan offense essentially works like gravity. Just push, nudge here, nudge there, until eventually you're off the cliff. Or is it Ohio State, where when it's humming, it's like it's chemistry, it's science, like the right ingredients and the right doses, cerebral quarterback play, cerebral and intensity. Those are opposing concepts to me. The way that sequencing plays, the way that Ohio State likes to set you up with this play call for the play call later, is that's kind of like art. Whereas Michigan is just like, yeah, dude, we're coming at you 4 yards at a time, and we're gonna hold this ball. What do you think about that? It's simpler. It's easier to channel into like an aggressive locker room speech. And again, like, what are we talking about right now? What are we talking? This is stupid. This is not football. This is like, we're like, who can marry?
Who cannot think too much?
Who can marry their style with hatred better? What does that even mean? But this is the place that college football and college football rivalries take us to.
It's overthinking. That's all it is. It's overthinking. And nobody has to overthink this. And I am wondering, I think a championship maybe taught somebody that. And by somebody, I mean Ryan Day. This rivalries are a lot. You are correct. But it's why he's approached some of the things he's done right. I don't think he's moving things off of the Michigan week because he's scared. I think he's moving things off of the Michigan week for the same thing we're doing right now. We just did a bunch of mental gymnastics for no reason. When it's very simple, just do this and you'll have success. You start overthinking it. You start worrying about a million things. You start allowing the outside concept of rivalries and the magnitude of it and all the attention that gets to be part of the conversation. You start treating this like a movie where it's like, yeah, we got to sit down with, Kirk Herbstreit today, and then we got to sit down with Joe Klatt tomorrow and do this big picture, and we got to do that big picture, and then I'm going to go on McAfee show and do that. Like, it's got to be a thing, right? Rivalries are a thing for everybody who isn't in the building trying to put together a football plan. And I think that's the revolution that Ryan Day has had, is that we keep making this a thing. And sure, it's a thing for you guys, but it doesn't need to be a thing for us. It needs to be, on Monday, you guys are off. On Tuesday, I'm going to talk to the media. We're going to have our team meeting, and then we're going to practice. On Wednesday, we're going to have our meetings, and then we're going to practice. On Thursday, we're going to have our meetings, and then we're going to practice. On Friday, we're going to have the best Friday in sports and do all that stuff to like ease everybody after a hard week of practice. We're going to travel up to Ann Arbor, and we're going to play a football game on Saturday. And I don't think that's devaluing the game. I don't think that's devaluing the rivalry. It's putting things in perspective. Of all this stuff is great, but we still have to go win the football game. And everything else needs to be second. Which, let's circle this back around and go to the initial point of all this. And the fact that Michigan, it feels like, has owned the mental edge in this game. And they are not owning the fact that they have had the mental edge. Should they be poking the bear?
I think so. Yes. Just with what you're saying about what Ryan Day is doing with this game, devaluing, the phrase that popped in my head when you were talking there is he's minimizing something that used to feel too big for him. He's doing that because that's how he needs to manage it. And it may well, like, if he accomplishes it, then I think it'll work. It won't be viewed as devaluing the game. It'll be viewed as compartmentalizing emotion. Like, how much of this is how much of this is process based versus results based? Like, even if, let's say, like if Julian Sayin throws a tipped pass that gets intercepted in the first quarter on Saturday, is Ohio State shook, or did they just have a bad luck and a Michigan guy got his paw at the right time, right? Like, some of this is how narratives get created and what, like you're saying, it's for us more so sometimes than it is for the people involved. But we are clearly, over the past few years, to the point where us and them, like, it became interwoven. Like, the lines got blurred here, and last year was the perfect amalgamation of all of that. Like, we're not having it, even if it's 1-3. Like, if they just win last year by freaking 20 points like they should have.
If they make 2 field goals, and we're not having the conversations about whether
Even
or not
then,
Ryan Day.
There's still if that shit
It
shouldn't have
is.
been that close. It shouldn't have been
No, it
that
is.
close. Why does this keep happening?
But it does change the.
Yes.
Yes. It's a lot stressful of a 30-day window after that.
Yes.
Versus what it was. Sure, of course, it's like, hey Ryan, I know you won, but let's not do that again. But that's a better and easier conversation to have than. To your point, is it results based or is it process based? When you lose it, it becomes both.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier to fix process than you can't fix a result. That's just what it is. And to the Michigan side of it is like, this is your process that has worked for you. It has led to your result, and now you're changing that. You're changing that.
Right.
And is that good or bad, or does it not matter at all? And I guess the result will tell us whether you changing your process matters.
To answer the question, I think it's bad. I think it's bad because the reason why Michigan has been able to win a lot of these games, frankly, they've just had less talent. I mean, say what you want about.
I think 2023 was the only time where they won the game, and it was like they were better. Yes.
Talent equated, yeah. But say what you want about football power indexes and point spreads and all these. Throw it all out. It's a rivalry game, psychology versus football again. But Ohio State should win this game by 2 touchdowns. And the way that you beat a team that's like that is you knock them off their game. And if maybe Michigan can do that football-wise, schematically, by putting pressure on a young quarterback. By the way, Michigan also has an experienced NFL defensive coordinator that can throw a bevy of different pressure looks at a young quarterback on the other side who's only making his 12th career start in this sport. That street works 2 ways. Obviously, Julian Sayin has a much better cast of talent around him and a much more proven. I mean, I'm lumping Ryan Day and Brian Hartline together in this one. Proven track record of coaches setting up quarterbacks for success. Not always in this game, but generally speaking. But I think part of it with that football, with pressuring Julian Sayin, you have to create that moment where it's like, is this happening again? That tipped pick is a perfect example, or a weird fumble, or a coverage bust. Maybe that's the Andrew Marsh imprint on this game. It looks they hit a big play, and that gives Michigan a boost of confidence, and that also gives Ohio State whoa, where did that come from? That felt like, boy, it's loud in here. Boy, it's loud. The crowd, we're not supposed to hear them, but we're hearing them right now. All that sort of stuff. But I think to get to that point, it helps if you make them mad. Because Ohio State has proven to us, at least in this game, when they're operating off of emotion, they're not very good at controlling it. So why not say, absolutely, we own those chumps? Why not? I don't get it.
So last thought. Let's just pretend that you thought Michigan was going to win on Saturday. Let's just do that because it's early in the week. No one's making score predictions right now. You thought Michigan's winning on Saturday. That's what you walked into the Bo Schembechler facility thinking. And then you heard people talk. Are you more confident, same amount of confidence, less confident?
We're so far from football right now. Hey, what did this press conference make you think about the game? What? What are you talking about? I would have to say I feel less confident.
Okay.
Again, accepting the original premise, I think Michigan is going to win. Right, I don't think I do. I'm not going to make a score prediction right now.
Right.
There was a healthy respect for everything that Ohio State's got going on right now in that building, and there should be. They look like a bulletproof football team right now.
He used that word a lot. Lot.
Arvell Reese is the best player. Will be the best player on both defenses. Caleb Downs will be the best player on both. The argument is between those two.
Yeah.
The receivers have somehow gone up a notch. Somehow they're even better, assuming everyone's healthy. We don't know that, but even if Jeremiah is the only one out there, good luck. Michigan's secondary has probably gone in the other direction. There wasn't a Will Johnson last year, but there definitely isn't now. Right? Mason Graham's gone, Kenneth Grant's gone. You could argue those two won the game last year for Michigan. Michigan's deployment of those two won the game. There's just a lot of. I think Michigan. I think my default stance is Michigan has Michigan is acknowledging there is a bear to poke again with Ohio State based on the combination of the way Ohio State responded to that national championship last year. Maybe Michigan recognizes an emotional maturity from the program in that run, and then seeing how they've parlayed that this year with a defense that's even better and even more complex, and all of the the poise of Julian Saint, like Julian Saint and Bryce Underwood are both making their 11th start. I'm sorry, their 12th start on Saturday. But like, I think that they are in two pretty different headspaces.
Yeah.
Or at least their coaches are in different headspaces about them. Like if you're a quarterback, you always exude confidence, you always believe in yourself, whatever, right? But if Ohio State felt like Julian Saint needed to throw the ball 45 times to win this game, I think they would do it without batting their eyes. If Michigan felt like Bryce Underwood had to throw the ball 45 times to win this game, I think Michigan would be like, is there a way we can change that? I don't think that's the recipe.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. How have we gotten here? Because that's what rivalries do to us. And listen, we're going to do the same thing tomorrow. You just went to Michigan on Monday, so now we're just doing Michigan first. Stefan is going to have to do this, and Gillis is going to have to do this exact same thing on Wednesday, because that's what it is, man. I think both of these pressers have turned into, hey, how are your star players' health? And then asking questions, not necessarily for an exact answer, but you're just trying to see how they're going to answer it. How does it hit them? And then how does a fan base feel hearing that answer from a head coach? Your takeaway, and I think that's part of my takeaway, is like, I don't know if that's how I wanted to feel walking away from that. And I guess we'll see if Ryan Day, who can win the press conference for 350-3315, 2-week free trial, $3.99 after that. Jimmy was texting from Ann Arbor. We'll be texting all week. This is a good time to get it, man. It gets you through this game, and if Ohio State wins this game, it gets you through the Big Ten championship game as well. So I'm telling you, this is a good time. Get the text, man. It's a good time over there. 614-350-3315. That's today. We were going to do a Rams pod today, but I'm saving that for later in the week because we got some good ones, and I just want to keep letting people get those off, man. You guys are great, man. I love the text. You guys are emotional and ready for this. We'll talk with Ryan Day this afternoon, and we'll get players on Wednesday evening as Ohio State continues to prepare for Ann Arbor on Saturday. Ohio State, Michigan at noon. For Jimmy Watkins, I'm Stephen Means. Talk to you guys later.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here, wishing you a very happy half-off holiday, because right now Mint Mobile is offering you the gift of 50% off unlimited. To be clear, that's half price, not half the service. And Mint is still premium unlimited wireless for a great price. So that means a half day, yeah? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.